Okay, so while reading through the source material for this explainer, a really fascinating question came up. How is it that some Himalayan yogis seemingly, hit the brakes on aging? Like they're living these incredibly long, vibrant lives. Well, it turns out there's this ancient practice called Kumbhak. And honestly, the most surprising part of all this isn't just the history. It's how cutting-edge modern science is actually validating the whole thing right now.
So think about the difference between a steady, ticking grandfather clock and a frantic, completely shattered clock. That right there perfectly captures the difference between your chronological age and your biological age. Chronological age, that's just calendar pages turning. But biological age is the actual wear and tear happening to your cells. And in our modern go-go-go world, our breathing has become so fast, so shallow. We're constantly trapped in this fight-or-flight stress state, which drastically accelerates that biological clock. I mean, we are quite literally aging ourselves through panic-driven breathing.
And the data on this, it reveals a staggering number. 90%. Yes, 90% of diseases in aging stem from uncontrolled negative thoughts. And what's fueling all that mental chaos? Our rapid, erratic breathing. The second you get stressed, or angry, or fearful, your breath just becomes completely chaotic. That feeds right back into the loop of anxiety and cellular aging. It is a vicious, vicious cycle that just wears the body right down.
To really get a sense of this, let's look at the animal kingdom. Take a dog, right? A dog breathes about 20 to 30 times a minute and lives around 10 to 15 years. Now compare that to a turtle. Turtles aren't exactly out there doing high-intensity cardio. They take just 3 to 4 breaths a minute, but they can live up to 150, even 300 years in perfect health. It heavily suggests that nature doesn't grant us a specific number of years to live, but rather a specific number of breaths. Basically, the faster we use them up, the faster we age.
And this brings us right to Kumbhaka, the ancient yogic science of breath retention. Now, this is not just about inhaling and exhaling. It's literally about pausing time within the body. Medical science is now showing us that slowing down our breath consumption directly slows down the shortening of our telomeres. If you don't know, you can think of telomeres like those little plastic caps at the ends of your shoelaces. They protect your DNA from fraying and breaking down. Kumbhaka essentially puts the wear and tear of those caps into slow motion.
It's honestly incredible to see how ancient texts figured this out thousands of years ago. The sources point to this specific, beautiful quote from the Upanishads and Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Chalevate chalanchitam. When breath moves, the mind moves. When breath is still, the mind is still. The core idea here is that by holding the breath, you immediately stop that wasteful expenditure of cellular energy that gets burned up by a chaotic mind. Mind and breath just freeze together, and cellular breakdown simply halts.
To really grasp what this means, let's actually try it right now. Seriously, just for a second. Take a long, deep breath in, and just hold it gently. Don't force it. Notice what happens. Bring your focus right to the middle of your forehead and just feel your heartbeat. In this suspended moment, no new thoughts enter. There are no past regrets, no future fears. Your nervous system is getting a massive, deep reset. Okay, go ahead and exhale slowly. That profound mental silence, that fresh hit of energy you just felt, that is the absolute essence of Kumbhak.
So, what's actually happening under the hood during that pause? Modern physiology calls it the Bohr effect. As carbon dioxide levels rise just a little bit from holding your breath, it triggers this amazing physiological response. Thanks to the Bohr effect, the hemoglobin in your blood releases oxygen much more easily. And that life-giving oxygen? It gets forced deep into dead cells, hidden corners of the brain, and skin tissues where it normally doesn't even reach. It literally kicks off true cellular rejuvenation.
The hormonal shift happening at the same time is just as wild. As you hold that breath, your vagus nerve, which is basically the superhighway connecting your brain, heart, and gut, activates instantly. This causes your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, to just plummet, and simultaneously, it massively boosts DHEA. While cortisol ages you, modern science refers to DHEA as the master youth hormone. It's responsible for repairing cells, smoothing wrinkles, and literally keeping you youthful from the inside out.
It is absolutely fascinating to see how perfectly ancient mysticism maps onto modern biology. I mean, think about the ancient concepts, right? Like Amrit, this idea of a divine nectar dripping from the brain that yogis preserve by reversing their energy flow upward. Well, today, we know that matches perfectly with vital pineal gland secretions. The practice of Kumbhak itself maps exactly to the modern concept of intermittent hypoxia, in Turiya, the void state. That perfectly describes vagus nerve activation and cellular reset. It is the exact same truth, just spoken in two different languages.
And that concept of intermittent hypoxia is so powerful that research into it actually won a Nobel Prize. The sources explain that when Kumbhak induces these brief, highly controlled periods of reduced oxygen, your body's survival system goes on high alert. This sudden, controlled shock wakes up dormant stem cells. These guys are your body's master builders. Once awake, they completely forget their old, diseased memory and just start creating fresh, youthful cellular structures from scratch.
Now, the texts outline that there are two primary types of breath retention to get you there. Antara Kumbhak, which is holding the breath inside, and Bahia Kumbhak, which is exhaling completely and holding the breath outside. And ancient texts actually highlight Bahia Kumbhak as the most profound and powerful of the two. Why? Because emptying the lungs entirely creates this total internal void. It tricks the body into thinking survival is threatened, which wakes up your supreme natural inner healer with absolute maximum force.
But hey, massive warning here, and the sources really emphasize this. Kumbhak is not a gym workout, okay? It is not about muscling your way to a longer breath hold to somehow get younger faster. If you forcefully hold your breath, your heart is going to race, your blood pressure will spike, and you will flood your entire nervous system with cortisol. You will literally age yourself faster, totally defeating the entire purpose. Force is the absolute enemy of Kumbhak.
Instead, the texts point to Patanjali, the father of yoga. He stated that practice must be slow, subtle, and completely tension-free. You start by just naturally lengthening your inhales and exhales, allowing for a very gentle, natural pause at the end. Over time, this organically leads to Kevali Kumbhak, the ultimate state where the pause between breaths happens naturally and effortlessly. No tension in the face, no wrinkled forehead, just a safe, deeply rejuvenating stillness. And this effortless state actually ties directly into the power of the mind, specifically the placebo effect. The research highlights something mind-blowing. Your cells are constantly eavesdropping on your thoughts. Seriously. If you mentally believe you're getting old and fading, your cells will obediently follow that exact program. Kumbhak forcibly anchors your consciousness in the present moment, totally cutting off past regrets and future worries. It stops the narrative of aging right in its tracks, allowing your subconscious mind to literally rewrite its biological programming.
Now, of course, breathwork alone isn't some overnight magic pill. The sources point to a much more holistic formula. It looks something like this: roughly 40% Kumbhak practice, 40% a deeply positive mindset, and 20% healthy diet and lifestyle. When you combine the perfect internal chemical environment, created by breath retention, with the right food and the right thoughts, the rejuvenation process absolutely outpaces any external medicine or surgery.
Which brings us to our final, defining question. Now that you know the profound science hidden in the empty space between your breaths, what are you going to do? Are you going to let your breath just run wild, keeping you in an endless cycle of stress and rapid aging? Or will you take conscious control of your biological clock starting tomorrow morning? The secret of the yogis isn't locked away in some hidden Himalayan cave, guys. It's right there, waiting in your very next breath.